Chapter 5 2 Days Before the Mast. Merchant ship Thalavar Trader, 11th of Chess, 1362, Dalen's Reckoning. Vomit flew over the gunwale as Gaheris' seasickness finally got the better of him the next morning. He spat miserably over the side and only avoided bringing up more because he'd eaten so little to begin with. He resisted the urge to dry heave and sank down to sit on the deck, holding his stomach. "Here," he hears from somewhere above him. He looks up to see a rough-looking sailor standing over him, wearing a vaguely pitying expression. The man was holding what looked like some sort of crackers in a canteen. "You'll get your sea legs soon enough, but this'll help a bit." "The last thing I want to see right now is food," Gaheris moaned in response. Just trust old Reeves. I know me business, lad, and that business is the sea. This'll set you straight for a little while, anyways." Gaheris nodded weakly and reached up to take the brown wafers. Expecting some form of bitter medicine, he was surprised to taste ginger when he bit into one. "Ginger helps, it does," Reeves said, handing him the canteen next. It contained plain water, Gaheris found to his relief as he took a swallow to accompany a second ginger snap. He was surprised to find that he did feel slightly better, though not by much. "Give it time," Reeves told him, as though he knew his thoughts. "The captain wants you in his cabin, so I came looking for you." Gaheris nodded weakly and stood shakily before making his way aft, not quite compensating for the pitch and roll of the ship as he went. His steps weaved a bit as he ducked a rope and walked up to the cabin door. "Enter," Gaheris heard from the other side of the door when he knocked. He opened it and stepped in, slightly stumbling in the doorway as the ship rolled in the surf. "You wanted to see me, sir?" "Yes. Stead, wasn't it?" The captain wore an amused expression as he motioned Gaheris to sit down. "Aye, Captain," he said nervously, sloppily standing at attention. "You catch on quick," said the captain with a chuckle, "but not that quick. Stead, if that's really your name, which I doubt, if you'd ever set foot before the mast in your life, you did a splendid job of hiding it yesterday." "Captain," Gaheris started to respond before the man cut him off with an upraised hand. "Now, the orders to take you on come from House Thalavar, so don't worry about getting a stowaway's treatment," he said with a spark of amusement in his eye. "In fact, we wouldn't even be having this discussion except for one thing." He put a hand behind the rolled chart on his desk and withdrew it holding a barbed crossbow bolt. Gaheris involuntarily took in a sharp breath. The amusement was gone from the captain's face. "Yes, this," he continued. "I don't like it when my ship's shot at, and this was shot at you. There are only a few people in Westgate who have the balls to pull something like that in broad daylight, but not the authority to simply march aboard and arrest you, and they're all bad news." He placed the bolt on his desk, steepled his fingers, and fixed Gaheris with a penetrating stare. "What's gotten the nightmast so riled up?" Gaheris opened his mouth only to be interrupted one more time. "And don't bother lying. I'll find out one way or the other." The street urchin was visibly deflated by now. "I killed 2 of them," he said simply. Saying it brought the realization home. He'd been too busy fleeing for his life to sit down and think about what had actually happened. He suddenly wanted to retch again. He had carried weapons for a long time, only a fool didn't on the streets of Westgate, but he had never killed before. The captain's stare had turned into a look of mild shock. Whatever he'd been expecting, that clearly wasn't it. "Well, that'd do it," he said slowly. "Now I think this story had best come out of you quickly," he said with an edge in his voice. The captain's meaning was clear. He'd have no dangerous killers aboard his ship, and Gaheris had best convince him that he wasn't one, and fast. So the whole story of 2 nights past came out. Gaheris was visibly perturbed as he recounted the events. As he finished, the captain stood. "Sounds like you did what you had to do, son," he said, and clapped Gaheris on the shoulder as he came around the desk. "We'll get you to Saarloon and set you on your way. I don't know that the Mast will bother to chase you across the Dragon Reach, but they know which ship you are on. Won't take them long to find out where we're going, so I wouldn't stay there if I were you." Gaheris nodded, a strange sense of relief coming over him. He'd never been so open with anyone in his entire life, yet here he'd spilled one of the most earth-shattering events ever to happen to him to a man whose name, he now realized, he didn't even yet know. "Captain," the captain paused on his way to the cabin's hatch, "I just realized I never even caught your name. Everyone's just called you Captain." The captain smiled. "I'm tempted to say you first," he said with a wry grin, "but you could easily find out anyway. Rowan Tallstag, though it's still Captain to you." Gaheris nodded. Gaheris, as long as I told you everything else, he answered. Though I'd like to keep being stead for a while. Wouldn't want the whole port knowing who I am an hour after we land, and the crude talk if I suddenly changed names halfway there. Captain Tallstag nodded as he opened the door out onto the deck. Well, I'm going to go take the helm, he said, and as long as your cabin boy gets to work. I want that cabin clean and tidy by the time I'm back, but don't touch the charts, he growled back inside as sailors passed by on their way to their duties. Gaheris nodded as the captain closed the door and set about doing as he'd said.